Hey, everybody.
Hello. We have a quick update about the molds. Very exciting.
Yes. So we are lowering the price of our molds down to $60 across the board. And if you bundle them together, they are only going to be $50 each. And the other thing is, in terms of timing, you guys have a week. Today is September 1st. You guys have until Friday, September 8th to get your orders in if you want a mold this year in 2023.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
And we still only ship across the U.S. We're not shipping internationally yet. We are still trying to figure that out, how to keep our identities private. There's a lot of extra steps when you ship internationally that we're still trying to figure out how to do, because we know that there's a bunch of you guys who would like some, who live overseas and all that, and we want you to be able to have one. So stay tuned for that. We're still working on it. We're not exiting it out completely.
Exactly. Yeah, and we still only accept Cash App and PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
If any of you use Bitcoin, I think we might be able to make that work as well. But for now, it's just Cash App and PayPal. But yeah, hop in on this. You guys only have a week if you want to receive one. And thank you so much to everybody who've put in orders so far. These molds have been blowing up, and we've been so excited to make these. They're kind of like a cool at-home project that I get to do, like playing with silicone and everything, which has been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you guys want one of these before the year ends, now's your chance. So please email us at outiebyte@gmail.com. You can hit up the Zoe Belly on Instagram, or you can hit up OutieByte on Instagram. Just get in contact with us through DMs, and we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
You.
So let's officially start this thing.
Okay.
I'm really excited to have you on today, and let's let the audience know who you are.
Well, hi, I'm Breathey0rlast. I've been in this community for a really long time, and I'm excited to be here.
When I think about old YouTube videos, when I think about just like looking for content 10 plus years ago, your name was always popping up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think I ever imagined I'd be doing this for so long.
Yeah. So what keeps you going? Like, because I feel like you dipped out for a little bit, right? Like, you made content for a while, and then things went quiet, and then you just kind of had this like resurgence over like the last, I don't know, like couple years maybe?
Yeah, I think I was making videos for a few years when I was younger, and they just kept being stolen, I guess, and like resold from YouTube. So I got really uncomfortable with that, and I kind of took a step back. But a few years ago, I decided I've always been like a lurker, I would say. But I decided to like come back and make more content. It's always been asked of me, so I don't know. I wanted to continue doing it.
So as a lurker, are you saying that you have non-Breathey0rlast accounts that you use to go through the community, or do you mean you were just on your original accounts, just not making yourself known?
Yeah, just on my original accounts.
Gotcha. Because I was like, that's pretty sneaky if you have like a, like George Winston 003 at like
George Winston.
No, I
What made
definitely
you-
always use my username, I think, for any fetish related things.
Was your username a very like it feels like an angsty teen username.
So I was actually thinking about this today, like what made me choose that username, and honestly have no idea. I think I wanted something that would just make me unidentifiable, like just something completely different than who I actually was, or a name that no one could find me by.
Sure.
That's interesting.
So describe yourself then. How do you feel like that username like differs from the real you?
I don't know how
She's just not angsty.
Like, are you
She's
like,
not angsty.
yeah, are you
That's
not
what it
angsty? Are
is.
you like happy and bubbly and like this or that? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I would say I'm a pretty bubbly, happy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got some questions written up, so I want to hop into those real fast.
Okay.
I want to kind of like start from the beginning. I want to start like early life. I want to talk about like how you first discovered interest in your belly button. What age do you think you were? Were there any real life experiences that kind of like played a role into you developing this in the first place?
So from the beginning, I started my interest in belly buttons really young, I would say, probably like 5, 6, 7. And I remember just always wanting to play with someone's belly button. Like that was just something that I wanted to do. I don't know. I don't think it was sexual back then, but it kind of developed into what I'm into now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the experience for a lot of people in our community.
Yeah, same for me. Like I was around that age, like 4 or 5 was when I realized that was like a major interest of mine. Like obviously, yeah, it wasn't sexual then, but
yeah, it was definitely something I was interested in.
do you remember any like kind of defining moments when you were little that or was it just always this like fixation for you?
I think it was just a fixation. I remember having a couple friends where we would play like belly button tag, but it wasn't anything like it was very innocent. It wasn't something I really thought of that often.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got older into my teens or probably like 12 or 13, that's when I started going onto the internet and like looking it up and finding like forums
Yeah.
for the belly button fetish community. And I was like, wow, there's more people like me.
That's got to be so exciting.
I think it was because it wasn't or back then it was more of an active community within the forums.
Mm-hmm.
Now I would say it's a lot more spread out. Back then it was like all in one place and there was an active community that would always talk about it. And that's when I kind of started like lurking in the background, being like, oh, there's other people like me. Let me learn from them or let me like see what this is about.
What were your regular sites that you would go to when you first discovered them?
I think one of them was just like a belly button forum.
Mm.
Or yeah, they were just like forum communities. They would have stories.
What year was this, by the way, would you say?
2006.
2006. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's when you first started going on?
Probably.
Interesting. Okay, so like YouTube had like just come out.
YouTube had just come out. Yeah, and there was a lot more videos on YouTube, but not really videos I wanted to see necessarily.
Gotcha.
But I was more into like the stories that people would tell.
Same. And I think that's because I started before like video content was like readily accessible, you know, at the click of a button. It was a lot of forum based stuff, a lot of standalone websites that weren't forum based, but they were just like a compilation of story after story after story that you could scroll through. So even to this day, like written stories are probably like my top favorite like type of content.
Mine too. I would say the same. I've probably gone through every single story on the internet.
So you started as kind of like a lurker. You were kind of just like swimming through this like belly button community, and then you got the idea to actually start making content. What was that transition like for you? Like, why did you decide to start making videos?
I started making videos because I wasn't seeing the content that I wanted to see. And I really like couple content. That's what I enjoy. I'm not really into girls' belly buttons. I like guys more, which is different, I think, in our community. But I started making content because I didn't see what I wanted to see. So I thought that if I started making what other people would want to see, I'd see more of what I wanted to see. That's kind of the way I thought about it, I think.
Okay. Because I'm going to say, like, you wanted to put out there what you wanted to see. Well, you're putting a female navel out there, and you are solo.
Yeah.
You just wanted to inspire other people to make stuff also.
Basically.
Yeah. That's kind of like why we started.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. And I think I wouldn't say I'm like an OG, but I was one of the first females to like consistently put out content.
Yeah.
I would say in our community.
You're an OG at this point. Like the more that time
so
goes
weird.
on, I know, like the more that time goes on, the more that definition is like solidified.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I was looking up content in like 99, 2000, but when I think of video content, like you're one of the first, hands down. And your content always intrigued me because you always left people wanting more. It was always very like, oh, I'm just going to put the laptop on my hips and angle the laptop camera down and lift my shirt a little bit and just finger. And like, I don't even think I've ever seen you use a tool, maybe a pencil. I always thought of your content as very, and I don't mean this in a negative way. It was like just kind of one thing that you loved and you were really good at, but you still became like one of like the top people in the community. And I've always wondered, why didn't you ever venture out into more adventurous play or anything like that? It was really kind of just fingering, I think.
Yeah, I think at the time I wasn't really into anything more adventurous. When I started making videos, I had never met anyone who was also into belly buttons, and that's all I really knew. I had definitely like stuck pens and stuff in there, but I didn't think that was the content that people who liked my content wanted to see at the time. Now I'll be like more adventurous and do other things. But yeah, at the time it was just something simple, easy, and that's what was requested of me.
Yeah, and it was effective. It was great content. It was simple content, but people looked forward to it, you know? It was exciting to see like a new video come out. It's like, what is she going to do next? Like,
and I did the same thing every time.
So I'm less familiar with your content today. How do you feel like your content has evolved over time? So you've mentioned involving more toys, things like that. Have your interests changed? Your preferences changed? Talk a little bit more about that.
I think my preferences are still basically the same. I don't like pain. I'm not into torture, but I will do temperature play, like ice, wax, things like that. I will use tools, I guess you could say. Like whatever I can fit in there, I'll put in there. But it's still similar. I still don't show my face. It's still just like torso. I do wear like lingerie in some of my videos now. I really enjoy lingerie, so I kind of implement that. But it is still kind of similar. So whoever enjoys my content is the person that's going to watch it.
Yeah.
I did get an extractor though recently.
Oh, recently?
Yeah. Pretty recently. I've used one before, but I purchased one of my own recently, so there will be more videos with that.
Interesting. So that's like
coming
my
soon.
main kink is like any to outie play. And I've always been curious if you had ever tried it.
I have.
And what were your first thoughts when you did it for the first time?
It was fun. It is definitely not something that I would want to do all the time because it can be painful. Yeah, for me, pain is not what I'm looking for.
Sure.
But I do have a play partner who really loves pain. And he will do any to outie a lot, and that's what he enjoys. So I try to help him enjoy it more.
So by play partner, is this someone that you've been like meeting up with regularly?
Not so regularly, but we have met up a few times over the past 10 years, I would say.
How'd you guys meet in the first place?
He was one of my followers on YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we met through YouTube.
And you gotta talk about that experience though, because like,
how was that like meeting up for the first time? Like, how did that happen?
through YouTube of all places.
Through YouTube. So he wasn't the first person I met with, but meeting him, it was always just like a play partner experience. So with him, we have definitely explored more together. We met in a public place. We like went to a hotel, probably like the second meet that we had, and just played with each other's belly buttons all night. And it was definitely exciting trying new things. He had made his own types of extractors throughout the years, so always trying something different with him.
Mm-hmm. So he wasn't the first. So let's backtrack a little bit and tell me about like the first meetup you ever had. How did that come about? What was it like? Yeah, hop into that a little bit.
So the first meetup I ever had was through Omegle.
Fuck.
So if you remember, like,
that's crazy.
You remember the Omegle days where we would all go on there and like type in what we were into and have matching people come up. This was probably like 2016, 2017.
The last time we used Omegle was last year.
But for nothing sexual. We were just going because we were bored and wanted to talk to people.
We wanted to talk to people, but like for literally over half of the conversation, we just put our cat in front of it and just angled the camera down and just let him sit there.
And people loved it.
Like it started so many
people
conversations.
Were talking to him.
He has his little bow tie.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
But anyway.
Yeah. So Omegle, you find somebody with a common interest.
Yeah. So it was not 2016, 2017. I'm lying. It was like 2011, 2012.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And back then I think Omegle was a lot more popular. We didn't really have any video chatting yet.
That's when I discovered it, but
yeah. And just going through it, I started talking to this one person. He was in college at the time in Pennsylvania or something. And he was originally from only like 30 minutes from where I was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So one day when he was home from school, I had him over. Really random, like didn't know this person.
And you were how old at the time, would you say? I
was probably around 17.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was maybe 19, 20.
Okay.
So he came over and so sweet, like brought me some like truffles and flowers.
Aww.
Like never came over empty-handed. But he was so nervous. I mean, I was nervous too, but I think I'm a little better at hiding my nerves sometimes. But yeah, he came over, we were like sitting down, we put on the TV. And then he just like asked me if he could touch my belly button. And I was like, sure. And then we did that for, And then we did that for the whole time he was there. That was the first time I ever had my belly button licked. It's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And we continued to meet up after that a few times, whether I went to him or he would come to where I was in New York. Over the years, there were years that I didn't see him, but to this day, we're still friends. So
that's cool.
It all worked out. Also, I was telling OutieByte that to this day, I still don't think he knows who I am online because we met through a different site.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But
I wonder if he's like seen your stuff and be like, she looks really familiar. But
so yeah, you got to go into that a little bit. So you met on Omegle back in the day, but to this day, he has no idea who you are within the community.
I don't think he does because throughout the years, I've added him from Breathey0rlast.
That's the thing. Like,
Instagram.
how would he not know unless like,
I feel like
I don't know, he's
how would he not
never-
make the connection? Like, your username's right there. The username for this other person's right there. Like,
Yeah, but he's never known me by that username.
Why haven't you told him? Like, do you not want to tell him?
It's not that I don't want to tell him, but at times I feel like he does know and just has never mentioned it. But I don't know. I've never really thought to be like, oh, this is me.
yeah. And you said before, like, he would know of Breathey0rlast's content
Mhm.
on YouTube, right?
He would.
But you said that you've added him on a Breathey0rlast account.
I have. But he's never questioned it or been like, hey, is this you?
That's so funny.
Maybe he just is accepting it and just like, hooray. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. He'll probably hear this and be like, wow, is this me?
yeah.
Because I did share your podcast with him.
Oh, no
wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
shit, really? Have you listened to the podcast before?
I did listen to a couple episodes. I wanted to know what I was getting myself into.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's good.
Yeah, it's been such a, I don't know. To me, this has been one of my favorite things to make. It's obviously like way easier than making a video, and I feel like I get more personal satisfaction out of it. And you know, this is the thing that I would want to be out there if I was a consumer of
Yeah.
the content.
Me
You
too.
know, so I'm like so happy that people have been like receiving it so well, and the fact that you're here, like people are hearing your voice for the first time, right?
For the first time. I don't think I've ever spoken in a video. My videos are usually muted. So a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about that little break that you took from making content. What made you come back?
Well, I was on Instagram before I started making content again, and I'm always getting questions about creating more YouTube videos and more videos to sell, request for videos. And I did want to make it more accessible to people, but with my videos being taken so often before on YouTube, I didn't want that same thing happening over again. So I did decide to make an OnlyFans to create more content.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I wanted to keep creating content, but I wanted it to be in a way that would be safe for myself,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Did you?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you were making content where you didn't feel safe?
Yeah, I did have a situation where someone found out who I was,
Mm.
and
Do you know how?
no,
That's scary. I think
I
about that all the
don't.
time.
Yeah, and they started messaging me on YouTube first. They started putting my name in the comments.
No way.
Yeah, and they found me on Facebook, Instagram. They had my number, and I don't know how because nothing with my name is linked to any of my accounts.
And it wasn't anybody that you knew or came across in your real life? It was just some random
No.
person? That's so scary.
Just a random person. And luckily it was like someone across the country. But for me, I'm very private through my accounts.
Wait, do you remember what their username was?
No, I think I know his name, but
Really?
I'm not going to say that. Yeah. Because I started getting text messages, Facebook requests, and I think that's why I kind of stopped being active in the community because I was a little like taken aback from it.
Yeah.
No, that's scary too.
Yeah. And I was young at the time. I was probably only like 18, 19 at the time when that started happening.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in your life that knows like what you do? Like any friends or family?
No, like not anyone I haven't met through the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
ever
so-
come close to telling anybody?
No,
I'm good.
I mean, I've been in relationships where I've told them, but other than that, no.
How does it go when you've told your past relationships? Like, are they
Oh
accepting of
man.
it?
Get it?
So one person who I was with, who I told, was accepting of it, but I always felt really awkward with him when it came to including him in my fetish. I feel like it's a little awkward for me to be so open about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think I've ever told anyone that I make content. So when I do tell them, I'm still like hiding something. So it's a little weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're trickling out the information. You're only letting them know what you want them to know.
Yeah. But I had one experience where I told someone I was dating, and I was pretty drunk at the time. And it just kind of like slipped out. I was like, this is what I want. And then we went out to dinner, and he told the waiter.
What?
Get the fuck
That's
out.
so stupid.
And I was like, okay, I'm never going to say anything ever again.
That's the worst.
Yeah. But the waiter kind of like laughed it off.
Yeah,
He was
probably
like,
felt
oh,
really uncomfortable.
sometimes I like that too.
Like, what prompted this person to reveal that to a stranger?
I don't know. I think he was just trying to be like, oh, I have this on you.
Wow. Okay. So what happened from that point on? Like,
From that point on, I stopped dating him.
Yeah. You're like, I stopped dating him right then.
Yeah.
Continued
I was
the dinner. But
had the dinner. Don't think I ever saw him again.
yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
yeah.
So I'm definitely very careful about who I tell. And I haven't told many people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I think makes things difficult sometimes, especially being in a relationship. Like you want to be open with someone and tell them about yourself and what you like and what you enjoy. And I've kind of always had a guard up about that.
Did you ever have relationships and play partners that you didn't let them know about?
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Gotcha. Because I can imagine that would be tricky to balance.
Yeah, it could definitely be tricky. I mean, so early in college, I was dating someone, and I had a friend who I had never met, but we would always talk from the belly button fetish community.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex, my boyfriend at the time, found messages between us and was like, this is weird. But he never really questioned me after that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll like stop talking to this guy. But I think that's sometimes I disappear for a few months, and usually if I'm dating someone.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Because it's hard for me to balance the two.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
So
it's definitely
sense.
harder.
we'll know when you get married. You'll know. We'll never see you again.
But, yeah, we'll be so happy for you. We don't see you
She hasn't
anymore.
been around for 6 months. I hope she's good.
Well, I'm hoping the person that I marry will be open about my fetish and be okay
Yeah.
with it.
I hope so too, because that's
so
a
I
really
won't have to
restricting life
hide
to
it.
live. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always feel like if a guy won't let me play with his belly button, he's not for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
And have you let guys go in the past where that was the case and they had no idea that you had the fetish?
Yes.
Really? So they wouldn't let me touch their belly button. See ya. But they don't know that that was like a factor.
They don't know that was definitely a factor on my list. Like, didn't check off this box. Goodbye. Sorry.
So, okay. Most memorable belly button experience? Your favorite? What made it your favorite? What went down? Hop into that a little bit for us.
Okay, my favorite experience was probably about, I want to say a little over a year ago with my play partner. And it was when he brought the extractor, his own extractors. He got a really nice hotel in New York overlooking like the skyline. It was like the perfect scene. And we got to, we just basically played the entire time, fingering, licking. He brought food. So he brought like M&Ms and he put them in my belly button and just like let them melt and lick them out. That was pretty fun. And then I got to watch him like tie up his belly button and do what he enjoyed as well. We basically just did that for the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah, just play. My belly button was definitely sore the next day. But yeah, I think that it was like the perfect scene. We made content. And it was just a good time.
Yeah. So have you ever been in a situation where your belly button has been like really bruised and you've been in a situation where like people noticed or?
Yes, I had a similar situation to Zoe, where I had to go to the doctor one day because this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. This was a while now, where I wasn't bleeding, but I had like an infection for sure. And I didn't know how to fix it myself. And I was like, okay, I need like a medication.
Yeah.
I need professional help. I need
professional help. And I didn't tell them what I was doing, honestly. I was like, I just have like a scab. I don't know what it's from.
Yeah. Like I just woke up with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing.
It was really embarrassing. And the doctor was really good looking and I was just really embarrassed. But yeah, I did get medication for that and I never had that problem ever again.
Do you know what caused it? Did you like in that instance like push it a little too far a couple days before or like what happened?
I think it was just really rough play that I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
We used like fingers, pens, like my nail, his nail. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure putting like objects like a pen that's who knows how many hands have touched it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
In your belly button is not ideal.
Yeah. When it's already broken.
I know. And you went full out and told them.
I did. But you know what? And I don't think I said this on the video, but my foot was broken at the time. And so I feel like that took away some of the, because when you have like a broken limb, like that's all, like people ask you about it, like when you go anywhere. And so I'm hobbling in there, you know, with my walking boot.
Yeah.
And I got asked more about that than like the reason why it was actually there.
Yeah.
So they
just made an assumption.
Yeah. And so, you know, she's asking me about my belly button, like what happened. But then she's also like looking at my foot and asking me what happened with that because she's just curious.
She's trying to draw some type of connection to it.
I felt so broken when I walked in there. Oh my God. Yeah. But so I feel like that kind of like cut it a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 It was still
I think
super
if
embarrassing.
I think if it was now, I would have definitely told them. But at the time, I was just embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So part of that meetup that you were talking about, you expressed that you were kind of like watching him do his thing that he enjoyed. So you like couple content, but like in regards to actual belly button play and like what's being done, what do you love to watch? What do you want to see?
I just want to see people enjoying themselves. Like whether it's fingering, licking, or like anything basically. But I think fingering and licking is definitely my favorite. but I like seeing couples enjoy themselves because that's what I want to experience.
Yeah.
You like
It's
to
like-
like put yourself there.
It's like you're longing
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
I'm longing for it, so I want to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And then the second you find the one, everything's going to change.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, I never thought I'd come back to be like doing content.
Really? Did you think that you were kind of like done with it for good?
I did. I thought after YouTube, like I would never do anything ever again.
And what you would just shut that part of your life away for good and that would be it?
Maybe not. I would watch other people's content, but I don't know. I enjoy it and I enjoy being someone that people can get content from.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes like I feel like I do get burnt out from it. Like
Same.
people constantly asking for something
Yeah.
from me and I'm like, okay, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
We feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when is this next video coming out? When is your next podcast episode coming out? It's just a constant barrage.
And sometimes it's hard to balance like your, I don't want to say your real life, but like
your real life,
you have like, it's like two lives.
personal
and-
interests, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's been hard at the moment for us to kind of like take a break from it.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to take a break, but we also have a lot of content that we're just sitting on that we need to get out. Like we just had our meetup this last weekend. We have like 10 videos that we need to edit and just get online. And we did a podcast episode. We were kind of talking about this yesterday. It's like every time we have a meetup, there's like that's like the start of it. Like day one of the meetup, that's the start. And then it lasts for like a week or two as the content is getting edited. So it's like, we're constantly surrounded by it. We got the molds that we're making. Like it really is hard to step back when you want to step back, you know, or when you need to step back. So,
and I do feel like I'm living a double life.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, like to think that, but my real life is like me working, being busy. I have a million and one things going on. Then I have like this life where I'm creating content and have like a whole different identity of who I am. I'm just a belly button on a screen, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you share your home with anybody or do you live alone? Because like,
No, I do have a roommate.
how do you hide that from them? How do you make content without them knowing?
I make content when they're not home.
Haven't left anything suspicious out or anything
No.
like that.
No, I do have a tripod. They know I have a tripod. They don't know why. I take it out when I'm taking pictures with my friends.
Yeah. I feel like that's like a normal thing to have, like a tripod.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but no, and I don't think if you're not part of the community, like you wouldn't question anything.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I
if
don't
my
know.
mom came over and saw a belly button mold just sitting on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
When I had a roommate, I was
What is this?
afraid. Yeah. When I had a roommate, I was afraid that he would see my microphone because I had no idea how, because that's the only thing, everything camera wise was left at your house because it's yours. But I would bring my microphone home and I would wait until he wasn't home to like bring it into the house because I was so afraid that he would see it and like he would ask, I know he would ask me like what it was for and I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't do anything in my life that would make me have a microphone.
I'm doing commercials.
Yeah. I'm like, so that was hard. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah. It's been, because like my parents will visit and, you know, we have barely anything under our bed. Like the biggest thing we have under our bed is our tote of like belly button play tools in a clear tote. We should probably change that. We should probably
why
get
is it
rid of
clear?
the clear thing. And in the closet is where we keep all of our mold stuff, also in a clear tote. And yeah, like I have these microphones pretty much built but collapsed like in my office where I keep all my film equipment. Yeah, I'm wondering if like one of my friends that I'm working with is going to come over and be like, why do you have professional microphones like for a podcast?
You're taking up a new hobby.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to happen one day.
I feel like you could just blame that on like, oh, like I took these like from work or.
And you know what's so shitty is, or like not shitty, but unfortunate about this whole thing is like, I can't share this with friends. Like my friends who need help doing their podcasts, I can't be like, hey, I have experience.
Yeah.
Like,
you have this skill that you can't let anybody know about.
Yeah.
You could let them know that you have the skill, but not why.
I don't know if I'm not a good bullshitter. I'm like,
You
not
can
a good
just
bullshitter.
pretend that you're interested in podcasting and that you've looked up a lot of stuff, and because of what you do already, it's kind of. I mean, you had that microphone before for.
I know, and everybody
stuff.
that saw it questioned it. They're like, "That's a really good podcast mic. Like, where did you get that?"
It was gifted to you, though. You don't have to lie. That's the truth. This already existed.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, enough.
So, what is your opinion on the current state of the belly button community?
Good question. I feel like it's so spread out. There's not like one place for everyone. I kind of like that you guys have this podcast because it's kind of a way to bring everyone together.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many different areas to find like this community. You have like Reddit, like some subreddits. You have, I know that there's still a forum going around. There's like FetLife, there's YouTube, but YouTube is pretty slow. A lot of like the videos that are being uploaded are older videos that are just being reused as content.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some Instagram, and I don't really know what's going on in TikTok, but I'm sure there's like some videos on TikTok too. I just wish there was a place for everyone, but currently, like, I think a lot of my followers are people who have followed me from YouTube. I don't get a lot of newer followers unless they're like super young, which is sometimes weird to me. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you were explaining the state of YouTube belly button fetish community to someone who has the fetish but wasn't familiar with what's going on YouTube, like, how would you describe like the landscape? Like, you look up belly buttons, what's popping up in the search feed?
I would say first, it's like just facts about belly buttons. Like, there's not really a lot of content like what I was creating at the time, like early, like 2011, 12. I feel like back then there was a lot more content that was coming up, and then it died down a lot. I think newer videos are more kind of videos like I was doing, just like one person singularly like fingering their belly button, like nothing crazy. I feel like there's not one place where you can find a lot of videos.
The thing that I don't understand is the animated dirty belly button with like dirt globs in it, and then like animated tweezer comes in and starts like picking things out like it's Operation. And
you know what? I've never really watched any of those, so I don't think that would be like the first thing that came to my mind.
when I'm thinking about typing in like belly buttons on YouTube, that's the first thing that comes to my mind because I feel like that's the thumbnail that I have to dodge the most when I'm scrolling through.
Probably.
And I don't know if it's being generated by someone who has a belly button fetish. I don't know if it's more like ASMR-y, I guess, where it's a little more pimple popper-esque, where people can't just look away. It's like kind of mesmerizing, where I don't know. Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah. There's this one.
Yeah, I don't know if
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't really go on YouTube that often anymore.
What's your main source? Like, where do you go the most for your content? Or have you just downloaded it over the years and you have a massive library on a hard drive somewhere?
No. I wish I did. Like, there's some videos that I still try to go back to and I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah.
I probably just search Google and like see what comes up on VK. I look at sometimes like this vid.
I've never heard of this vid.
I think that's what it is. They have a pretty large selection, and I've found my videos on there as well.
No way.
Yeah, and it's like some of them are private, so you can't watch them. You have to like request the person, and because I am Breathey0rlast on there, I feel like I always get denied when I try to request access to those people's videos.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Um, I know that Pornhub deleted like a lot of their content.
Like their
'cause-
unverified content. Yeah.
Yeah. But they used to have decent content on there.
Was there a particular studio or model or content creator that you would search for the most?
I always liked the Film 911 videos. They're guys. I always thought that they had really good content, but they were guys.
Yeah.
So if you're a guy not looking for that content, then maybe
Was it
you
like guy on
wouldn't.
guy content or?
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
They still make content, but they do have like a specific like belly button. They're mostly like inflation and doctor patient,
Yeah.
like those types of videos.
What are your thoughts on inflation, by the way? I don't know. Do you know what inflation is? Like not just the act of like
It's crippling our economy right now. You want to talk about it?
Let's make this a political podcast.
Yeah. Sorry.
That was good. No, but when I say inflation play, do you know
Yeah.
what that is?
Yeah, it's when you like bloat your stomach out. You like push your stomach out, right?
Would you like to
Oh, it's
inform
not?
her what inflation is, like on the more extreme end?
I wouldn't know how to explain it.
Isn't it just like pushing your stomach out?
I mean, when I think inflation, especially like the more extreme version, which is to me like still pretty common and popular,
Okay.
people will take a pump and like put a tube up their
Up their butt?
and
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that before,
I've
Yeah.
never heard of that.
but
Yeah.
that's not for me.
Yeah.
so it's definitely like what you'd have going at a colonoscopy, you know, where they're like
I think
inflating
what-
it there.
Whoa.
Like the inflation that she's thinking of would be like mpreg,
Okay.
like when they like stick out and they look like they're pregnant.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
also not something I'm really into, but the Film 911 does a lot of that content, and I do enjoy it because it's guys.
Yeah. Do they ever
Um,
get like more adventurous with it with like any to outie play, or is it just like kind of basic play?
It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being a consumer of content, like have you noticed the content like trending towards like a certain type of belly button play, or have you seen a certain type of belly button play kind of like emerging as the front runner or like the most popular or anything like that?
No, not necessarily. I'm a consumer of content, but I watch the same content like over and over again.
Yeah.
So I don't really know
You
what
got
the
like an old
trends
VHS just
are.
like broken
Yeah.
down. Like
Yeah, I don't really know. I wouldn't know like what the trends are within the community.
Okay. So how often do you find yourself looking up content? Is this like a daily thing for you?
Weekly for sure. Daily, I mean, I'm pretty busy, so I I have to fill my time with other things. But I would definitely say like at least once or twice a week I'm looking up content.
Now, are you just playing with your belly button for content, or do you ever find like that's what you do to like unwind after a long day, like
Oh yeah.
in terms of just self play?
Yeah, I'll just play like before bed or something.
Yeah.
Just at night by myself. Like
No, she's like fallen asleep with her finger in my belly button like so many times.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've definitely like that's what I do sometimes, but I try to make content at least twice a week.
Oh, really? Okay, that's frequent.
Yeah, if I can't do twice, I do at least once. I do have a lot of content to put out that I haven't yet.
Yeah.
But I try to set aside time at least once a week to make content.
Can you guesstimate how many videos that you've made in your lifetime?
Oh man. I think I have
Wide-eyed.
I think I have over 100 on OnlyFans right now.
Damn, and that's just within the past couple of years.
Yeah. Videos that I've never put out, I have a lot of those.
Is that just because of time or?
Either time or I forgot to take off a piece of jewelry or I'm like very
An identifier?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
videos that I've made and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing this. Like I can't wear that. That I just have now. I've probably made like over 500 videos.
Fuck. That's
cool.
That's honestly
maybe about, yeah, that's a lot, but but I've been doing this for a while. I mean, even YouTube, like I think on YouTube I had about 20 videos, and some of them I like took off right away or didn't stay on very long, but I would always make videos back then when I posted. I don't know how I chose what to post, but
now, would you remove a video when you saw that someone had taken it and sold it? Okay, gotcha.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of mine got blocked one time by YouTube.
It was funny trying to like figure out what type of a person you were. Like, I feel like that's what kind of maybe, you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's what we all do. Like when you're just seeing a belly button, I try to envision like what this person is like in real life. You try to like find identifiers around maybe their background or like the types of clothes that they're wearing. I remember this one video in particular, it was one of your laptop videos and you were wearing like a fluffier or like ribbed white sweater.
Okay.
I think. And it looked fancy. And so I was like, you know, so
Like,
I don't know.
Fancy.
I don't know. I was just trying to like gauge like what type of person you were, like what your personality might be, like just based on your clothing choices. Like, you know, I don't know if you're the same way with the content you watch.
Yeah, I wonder what people are like in real life. But yeah, I think that's everyone's question when they watch my videos. Like, who is she? Like, what does she look like?
Yeah. You've been so careful about what you show that, I don't know, people have just sort of asked these questions for over a decade now. And now they're finally getting a little bit of a taste of who you are.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have a very identifiable face. So if I did show my face, even if I had like a lot of makeup on or different hair, you would
or something.
Still know who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you ever had any close calls with people like using a computer of yours or something and a tab might be open or you might have a video?
Just that one time when my ex went through my computer and he found those messages between me and someone from the community.
Damn.
But yeah, I always now make sure that my OnlyFans is closed out anytime I close my computer or yeah, basically that's like the only thing right now.
Like, what about on your phone? Like, do you ever have content on your phone when you're like scrolling through photos with your friends and like?
I hide it now.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I have everything.
Sometimes I'm not very diligent about it. So like, I'll be at a family event and I'll have my phone really close and I'll be just like selecting all the photos to hide them before I show anybody any photos.
There's this one time, because I'm not good at that. I don't hide them. But there was one time I wanted to show your grandma like a picture of this thing.
Yeah.
And then I pulled out my phone so I could like find it real quick. And then she moves to come sit next to me. And then I just kind of like freeze and I'm like, oh wait, I don't have it. And I'm like, oh, I don't have it. And I just like put my phone down. So I wasn't like ready for her to like, I didn't want her to like scroll with me,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And like my belly button content spans like so much time that if let's say there's a photo that I want to share, I'll like go into my hidden folder and I'll like unhide it, but then it'll disappear to like a really early date, you know? And it's an area of my photo album that I like never go to. So when I unhide it, it like basically stays there unless I'm super diligent in the moment of like unhide it, share it, hide it again, you know? So
yeah, I'll unhide it and put it in my favorites if I'm gonna upload it somewhere because then it's easier to find.
So when you hop in your favorites and you open it up and wait, you're not on an iPhone though.
I am.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I know.
Got you. When you favorite a photo and you hop into your favorites album and you find that photo, when you select hide, will it hide it from like everywhere else that exists? Because obviously there's like your main photo folder with everything.
Yes, it'll hide it from everything.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
We're going to turn this into a tech podcast where we just teach people how to hide their belly button content. So, what are your personal beliefs and like practices when it comes to staying safe for like meetups, and how do you like to vet people and confirm that they're safe? This is going to be okay.
So obviously when I was younger, I was not that safe. I don't recommend just meeting someone off the internet without really knowing anything about them. I'm a avid background checker now. I haven't really met too many people from the community. I've met 3 people in person, and they've all been, well, the one from Omegle, who is now like a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 have been from YouTube. So like no one really recent. I would say the best way of being safe is just, I don't know, like getting to know them over time.
Yeah.
And then just making sure you're like doing a background check. You let someone know that you're meeting someone. You don't have to tell them why. But definitely let someone know you're like, hey, I'm going to be meeting this person for the first time.
Now, when you say background check, what do you mean?
Looking up their phone number, making sure like they don't have a criminal record.
Yeah. I think that's really smart.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's recommended like a proper like background check before on the podcast when I ask them this question. Or but I am assuming you're meaning it in just general terms. Like you're not calling a company being like, hey, run us please.
No. Just like general background check, like look up their name, get their information. So you're not completely in the dark about who a person is.
I'll do that. Like I've done that when I've gone on like dates.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll Google them. And I'll just
I
whatever
Google
pops
everyone.
And if nothing comes up, what's your next move?
I always have to talk to people like a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like I've never just met up with somebody like that day upon like seeing them online or anything like that. I've talked to them long enough, and then I just use my judgment. I'm like, if this person seems cool, if they've shared like personal information and stuff like that, like you can tell from that point. But like this is way different than meeting somebody on like Bumble. You know? So
I, going back a little bit, I do have a belly button Tinder.
That's
which
right.
Is different. Yeah. And I have met people from there, but I'll always meet them like in a public place just for meeting up, because obviously they don't know who I am. I don't have my face on there either. So I met someone at the beach, like just for sunset, or at a bar just for a drink, just to get to know them a little bit before I kind of go into anything else.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's really smart.
Like in a public place, or just like let someone know where you're going.
You were saying that you almost enjoyed when the person, how did you word it before? Like you enjoyed when they weren't super well versed in the fetish, right? Or how did you word it before?
It's easier for me to open up with someone who already knows.
Yeah.
That I have this fetish. So with the Tinder, like when they meet me, they already know this is what I like. So it's easier for me to like talk to them or tell them what I like.
Yeah.
When it comes to my fetish.
Have you had any like negative messages from your account? Like, what the fuck is this? Or anything?
I mean,
that?
I've gotten a few like, what is this? Or is this a guy? Which sure, like if you think I'm a guy and don't want to talk to me, that's fine. But other than that, I've had pretty positive interactions with people. Like they're just curious. They're like, oh, I've never seen this before. Oh, I never knew this was a thing. I think I kind of like this too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This will kind of be the final question here for the podcast. Do you have any recommendations or ideas for how to centralize a belly button community? Because like you said, and I fully agree, it's so spread out.
I know.
And because there are only so many pockets of it, it just feels smaller than it really is, I would say. So what would you like to see happen? It's a big question.
A big question for sure. I think ideally I would like to go back to like the old school forum method, but if that could include like a social media aspect, a video aspect, and if everyone was just on there. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
of course, I
having all
understand.
those having all those discussions, those discussion posts, and like having a place where you can message. I kind of like the way that FetLife does it, but I don't think that FetLife is
for everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been on Discord?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know about the community on Discord?
No. I've only done Discord for like other things, but
got you. So yeah, there's like a fetish community like on Discord. And
oh, interesting. I've never ventured that way.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can really speak to the current state of it. I couldn't say if it's thriving right now or if it's like at a low point, but it obviously, you know, the layout of it. You have your different chat threads, and they have it organized into photos, videos, torture, mild torture, everything you can think of. And there's like one or two communities where I'm like, okay, this is like formatted in a pretty cool way. But no, like if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. Like I can send you like an invite link or something if you wanted to check it out.
Oh yeah, send it my way. I'll check it out. See, I like that old school way though. I really like the forums. Like I wish they were still around, but
do you feel like you could find yourself in a more dangerous situation with the people that you're talking to, like in a forum, or
why? Because it's like more anonymous?
I guess. You know, with most forums, like, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know otherwise, like in terms of like age verification and what you're putting out there. I mean, with the forum that I was going to invite you to, I think that one you need to like submit a photo of your ID with everything blurred, like but your birthday,
date of birth. Yeah. Well, that's a really good idea because I know there are some really young people. I mean, I was a really young person on these forums.
Yeah.
Or just like within the community. And now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, like I think it's weird when someone reaches out to me and they're like 18.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're really young.
Like
it is weird. It's super weird. They're like babies, you know.
Yeah.
You had such a stink face, like
because it's weird.
No, it is weird.
Like it's nice that they watch my videos, but it's also weird because they're so young. And I'm like, that was me once upon a time. I don't think if I wouldn't have been messaging someone who was like 30.
Yeah.
At that time, I wouldn't have been communicating or like trying to reach out to
knowingly messaging someone that was 30.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Or any, like, I don't think at the time I was really talking to anyone from the community until I started YouTube, and then I started getting like followers via YouTube. But even with YouTube, like the only two people I met off YouTube, one of them was basically just a pen pal, but he was my age. And the other one that I met was also around the same age.
Yeah.
So, and then the guy from Omegle was only a couple years older.
So yeah, the whole forum
thing.
It's like you are engaging with people and you have no idea how old they are.
Yeah. Well, I knew people on the forums were older because of just like their experiences and their stories that they had.
Yeah.
But I kind of looked up to them. Like I didn't ever reach out to them or talk to them. I don't think, like, knowingly. Maybe I commented here and there, but didn't like actively reach out to them.
Yeah, but what are your views? What are your views on young people in a forum setting like that? You know, where they're not PMing, they're not like doing a private message or anything, but they're in like an open forum.
I mean,
it's a hard question because that's where we came from.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't want to like judge anyone and be like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a lurker, like I think that's okay. I don't know.
So
I
would
just
you say that they shouldn't engage like at all?
probably.
Yeah.
I think it's because it puts people our age in a weird spot.
In a really
Yeah.
difficult position.
And
Yeah,
that's not their
absolutely.
fault. You know, they're just
No, it's not their fault. They
Yeah.
want to know more. And I
Yeah.
think that's okay. A lot of people are sheltered and don't have the access to like asking questions and like want to explore what they're into. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it also puts older people at like in a weird place too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they won't be thinking of that until they're our age. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it just, it's just like a cycle. So,
Yeah.
But hey, I just want to thank you for like taking the time to do this. I think
Yeah.
this is huge. Like, I've sent you a message like forever ago, and I'm like so happy that you like got back to me.
Well, thank
'Cause-
you for having me. I wish I would have seen the message sooner. I honestly like sometimes don't read through all my messages.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm like,
Becomes a lot.
once we started the podcast, like you were one of my like top 3 people that I wanted to like chat to about it. Cause I know that you had like a lot of experience in the community. I feel like you had a lot to contribute, and I enjoyed talking to you. We enjoyed talking to you. So
I hope I contributed enough.
Yeah, no.
for sure. And
This
it's
is
just
amazing.
like good to get some insight on a belly button content creator that we've been seeing for over a decade. So I feel like a lot of questions have been answered for a lot of people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear anyone
anyway.
complain that they don't know me now. No, I'm just kidding.
Everybody can shut up.
Well, anyway, we'll leave it at that. But thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.